Hello everyone, and welcome to the talk on the spirit of photography. My name is Marlene Neumann, and I've been doing photography probably for the last 35 years professionally, and way before that, since I was a little girl of 14 years. The one thing that was pretty amazing for me with photography is that I always felt that it was a connection. I had a deep connection to nature through taking photographs, and this brings me back to talking about creativity and the importance of creativity, because most people, we have an emphasis and we're moving towards spirituality and divinity, and I've always felt that the one thing that was really missing and one thing that was lacking was creativity. The thing, if I come back to talking to you about photography is certainly, it's magic. It's really magic because it's a split, it's probably the closest that you can get to the split moment, a split second, literally a second, of something that's happening in life. And isn't that just an incredible thing when you're really thinking about it? So I've actually explored photography, or I've explored my inner emotions through using my photography and using the camera. So the lens of the camera is just an extension of the lens of my eye, which is an extension of my soul. I want to just talk to you briefly about how I started. When I was a student, I'd actually came up with a whole lot of chemicals. I was always fascinated by the old masters, the 1940 photographers from America. And one of the things that they used to do is they would always say that photographs are metaphors for their life's experiences. And photography for me has very much been just that. And when I talk to you today about the spirit of photography, I'm talking to you about your spirit, our spirit, the spirit that runs universally through everything, basically, through a leaf, through a flower, through absolutely everything. I actually work in the darkroom. I spent many years working in the darkroom, working with film photography, and I still do. And what that means is that I actually, even that is magic, where you take a roll of 36 and you can't see it and you have no idea what is coming out, and voila, the spirit of life, the spirit of photography just pops right through. So I would print images the size of doors, and I formulated my own chemicals that I work with in the darkroom and in the negatives and things. But that was never really what it was about for me. I was always actually fascinated more about life and and energy. I followed a man called Alfred Stieglitz from the 1940s, and those of you who enjoy painting, he was married to Georgia O'Keeffe, the painter. So he had a strong influence on my life, and I did my master's thesis on Alfred Stieglitz and his philosophy around photography and how they were metaphors for emotions and feelings. You can see the pictures. I was a very young girl working with film and mixing my old chemicals and things. So I was very interested in the esoteric side to photography, which is probably not many people have gone down that road, but I found it so mystical and so mysterious and so deeply spiritual. You can see my dog Agatha used to get involved with me and hosing the images down. In those days, you can see I could bend right down. I don't know if I could quite do that anymore, but anyway. So if you have a look at an image like this, which is called Journey Home, again, it was always, I was very fortunate to actually be right-brained, where the creative side to me worked more, and I really believe that the universe actually communicates with us in symbols. And photography has really just been, I'm a photographer. That's just a title, it's just a name, it's not who I am. It's more many things, many things. And this picture with the gate open and closed, and none of this is done digitally. And it reflects how we're feeling. And, for example, I myself have spent many years, most of my life actually, on the journey within. There's a lovely saying, I think it was by Vernon Trent. He said, amateurs worry about equipment, professionals worry about money, and masters worry about light. So light for me was always a huge thing in photography and in life. I'm always aware of waking up in the morning and where light is. I have a beautiful centre based in East London, in the Eastern Cape in South Africa, and it's called the Centre for Photography and Light. And we do amazing things there. Even in the foundations of the building is rose quartz. When you start to work with nature, nature shows itself to you, and that's what I mean when I say the spirit of photography. It's actually the spiritual side to life. The essence, to tune in, to get into the zone, to get into the flow of photography. Where, for example, here, the baobab tree, I mean, that's just a life force on its own. Mother Earth connected deeply to the earth. The beautiful image of Witstrand, a dune where the Bushmen used to run freely in this area. And you'll notice the technique that I used here, and it was all based on the old masters. I never did photography because of the technical side. I did photography because of the spiritual side to photography. The fact that I could take what I saw and actually share it with the world, internally and externally. And photography allowed me to see beauty in everyday things. You know, and my philosophy in photography is one should always have a beginner's mind. It is the only kind of mind that is opening to learning new things. So for those of you that are interested in photography, you don't even have to be interested in photography. You could just love life and want to photograph the beautiful things around life. It's really important to be connected to your camera, to your lens, to your internal process. And here I look at an image called Eternity, where I've picked up all sorts of little things in life. I've always had I think if I could have been a Native American Indian, I probably would have chosen that journey, that path in life, because I think that they have a very deep connection to the soul of the earth and of nature, because everything that you have a look at is incredibly beautiful. When it was actually created by God, it was created by the universe. It's divinity, actually. So if we just spent more time as being humble, and connecting in gratitude. Things like just running through some of these images, just an old chair, to see beauty in the spirit of an old chair and what it's carried. An old watering can. This watering can I photographed when I was in India, and I worked in an ashram, so I did garden duty and kitchen duty. And I mean, how profound in one watering can, how I'm more interested in the energy. So when I went to India, I didn't come back with millions of photographs. I came back with one photograph, and it's that photograph that I use to symbolize the unity, the beautiful light, the humility, the gratitude that they have, the gratitude that they have for things. Most people would throw that away. The jug was photographed in Kolmanskop in Namibia. These leaves were taken actually at a Buddhist retreat. I run photographic workshops called Seeing the Light, where we have a look at just how nature shows itself to you. It doesn't have to be, I'm going out to take a photograph. I don't work like that, not at all. I wait for the spirit to come. And when I mean spirit, you guys know that. You're sitting here with me in the room. I don't mean a woo-woo spirit. I'm talking about the essence of nature, the beautiful essence of nature, the divinity of nature. And I also run soul photography workshops where we connect, where we have to be in the zone. So that's the main thing, is not going out with an f-stop mentality, but actually going out, connecting through your soul. If you have a look at this beautiful little leaf here, this tiny little leaf that was taken in the forest, if we have a look at that, just the incredible light that's happening on that fern, and the little cells, and when you see the fern, it's only this big, it can't be more than a half a centimeter. Now I did a bit of macro on there, capturing the spirit of that fern, and compared to the tall trees, and then the forest, and then the universe, and then whatever else is out there, and then just zoning back to the moment that I had with that fern. And the beautiful thing is that I always know, I always remember the feeling. Like I'm talking to you now, I can remember the feeling of that little forest fern and what I felt like in that moment. just working with the lovely light shapes of succulents, and really getting down. And of course, something that I haven't mentioned to you at all is that I only work in black and white. I never work in color. I always feel that if you want to know something, you have to capture it in black and white, because black and white just gives you the soul of the essence of whatever it is that you're photographing. I also am fascinated by trees. I think that the trees also are, they're just, becoming aware that everything is actually communicating with you all the time. Even a stone, trees, everything feels your presence. So I've set it out in my life, and to make it my life's work, to just show people how extraordinarily beautiful nature is, and how through nature God comes through to us, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it. Who we are is coming through us all the time through photographs. And I'm always surprised that people don't take photographs, that they don't take pictures, and they don't have to be perfect pictures. And what I've said to you, because I also do one-on-one mentorships with students, what I've said to my students is that you can't shift your photography. You can't shift your photography if you don't shift. So it's very deeply connected to life and your inner soul. Ancient Land is a lovely image that I've worked with, the kokerboom in the forests of Namibia, where, those of you who have traveled, they will know exactly what I'm speaking about. Those trees, those quiver trees, they're ancient. They're probably, maybe 80 to 140 years old. And, they just sit with you, they land with you, and they basically become one with you. They talk to you. Trees are remarkable things. I've done a few workshops using trees, where we just work with the essence of trees, where we resonate with trees, we talk to nature spirits. For those of you on this kind of conference, it's a lovely place for me to mention orbs, ORBS, for those of you who are interested. Orbs is sort of nature spirits that you are able to capture with the cheapest of cameras. And they're actually around, and you find them a lot around trees. I had a very extraordinary experience working with cows and Nguni cows. And few are given this privilege to actually spend time with cows. And this was a commission for me, and it was one of the things that I wanted to do, because I love cows so much. And watching their movements and how I actually got off the truck, and the first thing they do is they showed me their rear end. And off they went. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I've got to produce a portfolio of work, but they're not cooperating. So I thought, well, the easiest thing I can do is actually to become a cow. And so I crawled on all fours throughout about 3 months. I think I had tick bite fever twice in those 2-3 months. I was very sick. But actually becoming a cow, connecting with a cow, the Nguni are actually one of the most peaceful animals that you can actually find. So I spent a long time working with them, and the bull, I walked a long time with the bull, just walking with him, talking to him. a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. I mean, that is almost like a prayer. It is a prayer. And it's one of the things that, what else do you need to know than to actually experience deep, deep gratitude for the things that you're coming into contact with every day. And I can't help it. I mean, I'm sitting here in my gallery and I'm looking outside and I can see, and that's Grace. I hope you can see Grace in the background. I hope you don't mind her. She's one of my rescue dogs. She's making herself comfortable. And notice how she's just positioned herself so that all of you can actually notice her. There's so many things. This is one of the images that I took, the macro lens, and enlarging it, and they actually come alive. They come alive, and it was once this fish, and now they've grown up, and they're. It's like giving them a second chance in life. It's certainly the spirit of the fish. The spirit of the fish came through. So, the droplets, the water droplets, the dew droplets, again, something that I teach and work with is that whatever I can tell exactly where you are emotionally just by looking at the photograph that you've taken. Because our subconscious minds are reflecting to us all the time. It's kind of like whatever's happening to you is a reflect. You know this stuff, otherwise you wouldn't be attending this kind of conference. But whatever's happening to you in your life is very much a state of your mind. So it works exactly like that working with photography. Whatever's happening to you internally and emotionally is exactly what you'll be photographing. On another day, it'll pass you by and you wouldn't have even you wouldn't take any notice of it at all. And these dewdrops that I took, I'd gone through a very difficult patch. I'd lost a very close friend, and that morning I woke up and it had light rain outside, and I wasn't even thinking about it. I was actually just walking outside, and I happened to notice these dewdrops. And only after I'd started to photograph them and take them, I didn't even have my camera. I had to go run back and get it. And after I'd started working and photographing, only then did I actually realize, oh my gosh, that was a reflection of the tears inside of me. So there's quite a few. I did a series of I called them dewdrops rather than teardrops. But I know that is exactly what they were reflecting. So there's beautiful things. I mean, we can look at the pears. This chameleon was taken in my garden. So I'm always looking for the spirit of everything. So I called the title The Spirit of Photography, but it's really the spirit of everything. I mean, as you know, everything is energy. And we know that, by looking at Dr. Masuro Emoto, those of you who all know that, he studied the molecular structure of water and the effects of water on thoughts and words and music had on water. And then he photographed that under a microscope. And you know yourself how that had massive effects. Yeah, and that pretty much blew my mind, and I realized, oh my gosh, whatever I'm saying is coming out there. Whatever I'm thinking is coming out there. And so your subconscious, and I learned the tool of how to use this and to photograph what I was feeling rather than what I was seeing. So that was really a profound thing for me. There's also an incredible thing called Kirlian photography, where everything is vibration, and what Kirlian photography is it photographs high voltage and contact print photography, electrophotography, and it shows how everything has a vibration. It's just because we haven't been taught. It's really because we haven't been taught that, and we've lost the connection. We've lost who we are, and here we are over the ages of 40, 50, 60, 70, trying to fumble through life, trying to go back to our inner child in the little baby in a basket kind of thing, and figure out, okay, where do we start, so that at least we can have another 10, 20, 30 years where we can start to really enjoy our lives. So really what I do is I capture the energy of things that I'm photographing. So if we look at this beautiful image of riverboat, the light there, of course it breaks all the rules of photography. It breaks everything. I mean, I've never followed the norm. I've been an out of the box photographer. I think sometimes I've been an out of the body photographer. Although I must say, Canon South Africa did have me on as their keynote speaker once on a roadshow. which is fantastic. And I've done a lot of things in photography. I think I've been certainly, I'm called and known as a fine art photographer, where photography is an art form. It's an art form where you go beyond the camera. You go way beyond the camera. The camera is just, it just happens, it's kind of like a musical instrument where you're playing music, The guy's not focusing on while you're watching him push this, that on, and he's playing, it's just playing. So for me, photography for me became music. I was playing music through my camera. If we look at the ocean, if we just flip through some of these images that I can just share with you, the desert scape, a winter walk, and light. Of course, when we talk about follow the light, I've always said I'm a purist in my approach. I use beautiful, available, natural light. And so it's beyond equipment. It's like a cook that continuously focuses on the stove, You're more focusing on the tasting and the smelling and the experiencing of life, the essence, the spirit of everything. So that's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm passionate about. You can see the desert. I've traveled the deserts extensively, arid horizon, always in search of energy, always in search of, probably in search of myself, really. I think that's probably what most photographers do. And straight away you can tell emotionally where somebody is by looking at. So in other words, I do readings, In other words, I do readings from just following, just having a look at the photographs, and I can intuit where people are, emotionally to help them along. The ocean, if we look at ebb tide, just working with, just working with light and the ocean, and we are that, and we talk about oneness. We talk about oneness, and it's really just become words. Cartier-Bresson, who's an old master photographer, and he said it is an illusion that photos are made with a camera. It's an illusion. He said they are made with the eye, the heart, and the head. And I think that we spend most of our lives we live in illusions, really, and we all know that. The flowers, the lilies, the grasses, the lovely image I took in the grass, the dune grass, that was really capturing that spirit, of the grass, just the dunes. I'm not focusing on, yes, I did some wild landscapes that day, but there was a desert storm, and all I had was a pick and pay packet, or a checkers packet, and I put it over my camera lens, and off I went through the desert, up the dunes, roundabout, and I actually collected some sticks. That I had to keep with me to stick in the ground, because it really is true. It's true. You hear about those people getting lost on the desert storms. Sorry, my mouth's getting dry. But putting that in, and again, just having that incredible feeling of, and I want to say oneness, but I also want to add the word nothingness. Where in that desert, I was nothing. I was nothing. So many times on my journey, through using the camera, I have experienced this incredible nothingness, oneness. Oneness sounds like something, but nothingness. I felt like nothing. I felt like absolutely nothing. And I photographed that. That's what I photographed. There's a beautiful image of mine, and I have it up here in my studio up there. You can see it on the screen now. Lily Pond, where I don't go out and think, well, today I'm going to be photographing this. So my work is very spontaneous to what I'm feeling. So you're having, when you're looking at my work, you're having the same spiritual experience that I had. When you hang my work in the offices or the boardrooms, that same energy is coming through. So it's not about pretty pictures or you have a talent or you have a good eye. It's not about that. It's about connection. It's about being deeply connected to what it is I'm photographing. That nothingness, that you disappear. You completely disappear into that thing that you're photographing. And so I teach that. I teach students how to tap into their own essence. I think it was George Eastman that said, light makes photography. Embrace light. Admire it, love it. But above all, know light. Know it for all you are worth, and you will know the key to photography. Photography is about light. And you know, each of us, as you can see on the slide, each of us has a light inside of us, and our purpose on our journey home is to find that light and to shine it brightly. You know, when you encounter another soul, I mean, I've got the most interesting way and the most spiritual way of photographing a person when we talk about portraiture. It's a beautiful way, and but that is for another day. You know, something that I've spent a lot of time photographing as well is aloes. Aloes as healers, and they certainly are beautiful images. And that is what your photographic walk should be about. Actually, it doesn't have to be a photography walk. I hate that. You know, I'd rather a whole lot of us just go and have a whole lot of fun and experience the spirit of whatever it is we're doing, and then take a picture of that. So that's what it is. It's capturing moments. You'll see when I was younger, you know, just I love the smell of the earth. I love being out in nature, and I always think that, you know, aloes are just such profound beings. You know, how they survive incredibly arid conditions, and I love walking there. I love my boots scuffed. I feel so much part of it. You don't even feel your body. You feel the spirit of whatever it is around you, you know, coming through you, and that's what I photograph. It's learning how to tap into the energy. So I'm an energy worker, just like you all are, but in a different way. I use the camera. I run workshops called soul photography, where that's what we do. So you can have a look at some of the aloes that I photographed, where I always say, you know, aloe warrior, how I actually slid down the side of that krantz, and I think I turned into nothing, actually, to warp my body so that I could, because there wasn't enough space for me to fit this aloe in. And I still remember that day. I remember how I felt. I remember the sounds. So that these photographs are taken being fully present. But if you're thinking of f-stopping and things like that, you're not fully present. You're thinking, you're processing in the mind. I've seen some amazing photographs taken by people that just use their cell phones. Have a look at how they become metaphors for life, really. The peacefulness of the village, how they reflect that village in the background, and I mean, these aloe edges, it almost looks like bronze. Obviously, my technique I developed, it was never about the technique. The technique was a means to creating the energy and the essence. This image, Aloe Heights, in actual fact, I kept dormant for 2 years until I'd spent the time at the ashram, and then I was ready. I was ready to release her energetically, because I finally understood. So they're very much energetic compositions or music. I don't know how you would actually explain it. So you have to heighten your senses. You have to feel. You have to shut everything out, absolutely everything, and start to feel which aloe, in this particular instance, which aloe has something to say. Oh, mighty beings. I'm waiting for them to actually show themselves to me. So it's not about me seeing them. We might have something coming through here. And they're almost, these are almost elders. Okay. So it's a matter of waiting until they come through. And when I say they, I mean the spirits of the aloes, the actual essence, because each of them has a spirit, has a soul, I believe. A nature spirit, they call them. And yes, you'll notice I had to wait for something to to show itself to me. It wasn't coming through. There wasn't anything. Yes, they're all beautiful and they're all incredible, and then slowly, as you wait, they'll start to say, "Here I am, here I am." There you can see there's an image of me in my studio and how they've printed massive. I mean, they're beyond life size actually. This one pops up again, Ancient Land. I wanted to let you know that these are actually aloes, and they're ancient aloes. There's another one called Ancient Tree. When you are in tune with yourself, you are tuned into life and everything else. You dissolve into the universe. You are no longer separate. You become the universe. I want to thank you for this beautiful opportunity of being able to share this with you, and I'm sure below are the workshops and things, products that we are sharing with you. Namaste. Thank you.